Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome. If you're one of my subscribers, thank you very much for coming back. If you're new to the channel, thank you for stopping by. And if you like my videos, please give them a thumbs up and hit the subscribe and notification buttons so you'll know when I upload a new video. At this moment, these videos are discussions about my new book, For the Love of My Father, which is available on Amazon and is a book about healing issues related to the absence of a father in the home. Of course, I am a woman and was a girl at some point in my life, and I grew up without my dad, so my experiences are filtered through the eyes of a little girl growing up without her father. And the essence of the book is not only do I give you the experiences that I had, but the keys to healing, and healing through gaining a spiritual understanding about life on the planet. So again, the book is For the Love of My Father, and just go to Amazon. You can click to my website, which is oliviasbenson.com. And from there, you can also go to Amazon, but you'd have an opportunity to see a lot of the other products and other things that are available on the website. So that's oliviasbenson.com. If you've read the book already, you know there are a few things that are key. One is understanding that everything is ultimately about energy, and that ultimately our healing lies in forgiveness. Today we're going to do sort of a summary of our discussions about the chapter Things Buried Alive Never Die. There are two other videos in which I discuss this chapter, so if you haven't seen it, you can go back and take a look, and that will be helpful as we get to this, what is essentially part 3. I'd like you to notice that ultimately everything ends up going right back to forgiveness. This is why we've been talking about things buried alive, which really translates into energies buried alive never die, and the generational effect of traumas which have gone unaddressed and unhealed. So we discussed before, why, which is a question that we as humans ask often, why this happened, and we always want an explanation. But as I discussed in one of the prior videos, why is not going to heal you. However, it is possible that understanding why your father behaved in certain ways could help you to forgive him. And that's why we have this discussion on this chapter. Maybe if you understand a little bit, or maybe if you understood a little bit of the things that led him, and not just him, but things that are coming down generationally, it might be easier for us to forgive them. Much of this comes right back down to examining our programming. We're talking about dad and our fathers and why they might behave in a particular kind of way, but it's not just them, it's really all of us. The thing is to examine our programming. What is our behavior showing about the underlying programs? And of course, with regards to dad, we're saying there are many things that could have happened in his life that led him to behave in a particular way. And I know people are very, sensitive about this issue, because many people, not everyone obviously, people try to say that, you're finding an excuse. There's no excuse. And there's nothing that's gonna, absolve anyone. Even when there's a reason, you're not absolved, because we live in a cause and effect universe. So you do something and there's gonna be a consequence for your action or a consequence for your behavior. So we're not talking about absolving anyone from bad behavior because of the transatlantic slave trade, or anything along those lines. And by the way, the transatlantic slave trade, which was one of the worst events of in human history, is not the only time that humans have been horrible with each other. And I mentioned it in the book, and I think I also mentioned it in the last video. I mean, we have the history of Native Americans, not just in America, but in the Americas. And basically what was their annihilation and the attempted destruction of their culture. So there are many circumstances in which we humans have been just abusive and horrific. And in fact, as you all know, this is not something in the past. This is something that continues to this day. So there are always going to be reasons why something happens. And since I'm talking about different groups, one of the things I wanted to mention to you is that, and it depends on where you look and who's providing the statistics, but in America, it is estimated that between 57.6 and 64% of African American children grow up in single family homes, and that present parent is usually the mom. In Native American homes, 49% of the children grow up in single family homes. In Hispanic households, it's between 31.2 and 42% of the children are being raised primarily by a mother. And it is approximately between 20.7 and 24% of white American children who are growing up without a father present in the home. Now, these numbers are really staggering. And it calls out for us to do something about it. Now, I'm not a politician. I am not an academician. And so I'm not speaking about resolving the problem from those perspectives. I'm talking about solving the problem from a spiritual perspective, which is what healed me. Having a spiritual understanding of life, understanding that everyone comes to the planet, has a certain kind of experience. We're not sure why, but ultimately that God, which I call GEFS in the book, God, Energy, Force, Spirit, has a way for us to heal ourselves, heal our lives, and come back into a fuller connection with it that allows us to have complete, enjoyable, and productive lives, despite whatever experiences we might have had as children. And this is, really important, because you can read and you can, go to therapy and you can do a number of different things. But until you, in my experience, until I was able to come into an understanding of myself as a spiritual being and make my connection with GEFS, I was not able to understand my life experiences, and certainly not able to understand how to heal from the traumas and experiences that I've had. When you look at these statistics, it seems clear that this could not have been the intended plan, that so many children would grow up in a home without a father, and with all the challenges that follow as a result of that. It clearly seems that there must be something that we can do. And I want to take a minute to talk about energy here. Many times you've heard me talk in a video about us being born as pure light, as sort of the essence of God. And we come in pure and unburdened. And that's an energy. That energy that we come in is a pure, clean energy. We have experiences, whether it's the trauma, I cannot even begin to understand the level of trauma that it must involve to be ripped from Africa, put in the bottom of a ship, travel for months and reach to a new land and, be sold into slavery. This is a level of trauma that you can only imagine is burdensome. It is, if you are a light, and we know that we are, and then you have the negative experiences piled and piled and piled, and then you reproduce. Those energies are never attended to. I mean, today we know, like, for the smallest thing, we know that it's important to get therapy, to get healing, to get spiritual counseling. We know that this is important. And so when you understand that these people had these experiences and all of that trauma was left unattended. And of course, they reproduced generation after generation, and the trauma, whether it's by social means or whether it is by genetic code, but the trauma remained and is passed down. And that trauma is an energy. It's not a good energy. And the other bottom line to the issue of energy, which I think very few people would disagree with, is that like attracts like. Like energies attract like energies. So if you're walking around with a whole bunch of unresolved trauma and issues, all that's going to happen is that you're going to continue to attract the same exact kind of energy, the same kind of life experiences. Now, when you begin to work on healing, what you're doing is removing the levels of trauma. And forgiveness is one of the main tools that we have in order to remove the levels of trauma. Forgiveness is a relief, and it lifts the trauma from us. We, as, for example, people of African descent, have perhaps a lot of work to do with regards to forgiving all of the experiences that we had, and then becoming unburdened by the generational issue. There's a lot to look at, but what I can tell you for sure in my experience is that if you don't look at it, everything remains buried. All the negative energies, all the negative experiences, and then you walk around and you think, why is this happening to me? Well, it's because this is what you're carrying around, and this is the law of the universe. Like energies attract like energies. So until you're able to throw overboard all of the negativity that might have been built up in your family, that you might have been born into, that might have been transferred to you through social habits or through genetic information, then you will attract certain kinds of experiences. And this is not the way we were intended to live. I often say, I mean, for me, God is the creator of galaxies, universes, and everything that exists in the planet, every single thing. And there's no way that the God that is all this, omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent, all of that, created us for perpetual, unending suffering. If this happened, and if you had this kind of experience in your life and in your family, there has got to be a way to fix it. And forgiveness is one of those tools that will help you to fix it. For people of African descent, when we look across to the African continent, we should also notice that this kind of pattern of behavior with absent fathers and sort of just disassembled family life is generally not how that culture works. I'm not suggesting that that culture is perfect. No culture is perfect. We are all evolving and all growing as human beings. But even in those societies on the African continents and other parts of the world where the culture allows multiple wives and many children, you have to be able to take care of your children within the context of that society. There's usually a plan for family life. This is how most of these cultures existed for thousands of years. They weren't just over there reproducing and not having some kind of organization around their family lives. So for those of us who have had this life experience with an absent father, you're a child who grew up without a dad, you consider yourself fatherless, or if you're an absent father yourself and you're watching this video and you can identify with some of the things that I'm talking about, I want you to know that getting to know yourself as a spiritual being and finding your connection to Jeff, God, energy, force, spirit, doing some house cleaning, checking out your programming to see what kinds of programs are running underneath. If you have a breeder's program, you should know that, and you should know that you can work to clean that up. This is the message. Everything in life is about energy. God is an energy. You are an energy. And when you clear yourself of the energy, any energy that is unlike or ungodlike, you will unburden yourself, unburden your life, and be able to create different experiences. Again, the book is For the Love of My Father. It's available on Amazon. I also want to let you know that there'll be an additional video with an interview that I did on a show with Egberto Willis. His show is Politics Done Right, and that video, the video interview, will be available on YouTube as well. It's a very, he asked some really good questions and some really good information on it. Also, my website is oliviasbenson.com. The book is available through the website as well. And we also have products available on the website, oliviasbenson.com. My Facebook page is author Olivia S. Benson. My Instagram, Olivia S. Benson. Twitter is also Olivia S. Benson. If you like this video, please make sure and subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and hit the notification bell. And I'll be back next week with a new video. And again, it's For the Love of My Father. And I'm Olivia S. Benson, wishing you a healing journey.